From all over the country, the very best accounting students converge on Sunway City. Over the years, Sunway College has developed thousands of successful accountants.
We are the largest provider of professional accountants to the Big Five in Malaysia. This is a serious profession, and at Sunway College, we mean business.
Thinking about a career that spans the accountancy, finance, and business worlds? Wondering if chartered accountancy could be your dream job? At ICAEW, we provide you with the best start towards no ordinary career. The ACA qualification is highly respected across the business world, with our chartered accountants being relied upon to provide invaluable financial and business advice through the knowledge, skills, and experience gained during training. Experts in a variety of areas, ICAEW chartered accountants excel throughout their careers in a wide range of specialisms, including managing the funds of charities, working as finance experts for multinational organizations, or running their own businesses. As an ICAEW chartered accountant, you can work across all sectors, including professional and financial services, commercial and not-for-profit organizations. Benefiting from career progression, becoming an ICAEW chartered accountant gives you the opportunity to achieve your ambitions, whatever they may be. Working with a variety of organizations of all shapes and sizes, a career as an ICAEW chartered accountant opens the doors to worldwide travel. Simply identify an employer who will support you through an ACA training agreement and begin your journey as a credible business professional today. You are in control of where you want to get to and how you get there. Take your first step towards a highly rewarding career. Find out more at icaew.com/careers.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm here to share with you the ICAEW Live Digital Accountancy, the opportunities, threats, and the human factor. So we are going to be talking about how the technologies are going to affect accountants. And of course, definitely, accountants will be replaced by the technology. All right. We will, in fact, be enhanced by using these technologies. So we're going to start the lecture now, a very short one. Okay. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Jack Wong. I am the one of the senior lecturers in Sunway Tests. Right. We're going to talk about the opportunities, threats, and the human factors of the digital accountancy. So, as you can see, this is brought to you by ICAEW and Sunway Tests. Right. So, to give you a bit of understanding of what are the papers that I teach, and also as well as the papers that are in ICAEW, there are three levels. The first level is certificate level, professional level, as well as the advanced level. So I teach the business technology and finance, business strategy and technology, as well as business strategic business management. As you can see, the papers that I teach has a lot of technology element in it. So I also teach design thinking. All right. And let's start with understanding what is actually accounting. So when we talk about accounting, we have to understand the context of, from an organization that is actually owned by shareholders. And these shareholders, right, who are the owners of the company, will not be the ones that are actually managing the company. So who are the ones that are actually managing the company? They actually delegate this responsibility to the board of directors, right? So the board of directors will have the authority to manage the company on behalf of the shareholders, okay? And with this responsibility comes, of course, the accountability and the responsibility to ensure that what is done properly. So how do we ensure that it's done properly? So we have this guy called the accountant, all right? And the accountant will take on the role of making sure that everything is in order, all right? Making sure that every single dollar that is being spent in the company is accounted for, all right? So that there is accountability there. And of course, there will be some auditing work whereby they will play on the role of being the police to ensure that the board of directors does a good job, okay? And of course, the accountants can also be advisors to the board of directors. So accountants actually play a very important role because they ensure that the board of directors, right, are accountable for the responsibility they take on. Right, with great responsibility. Right, that's where we have to also take care of not just only the shareholders' interests. We have to think about the employees, the customers, the suppliers, because money is involved. All right, so we have to make sure that we take care of all their interests of all these directors, the shareholders, the employees, the suppliers, and the customers. And on top of that, all right, with all this in the picture, we have a community. All right, and since we are taking care of the community and social aspect of things, we have to also take care of the planet Earth. Right, so and with that, the accountant does not only take care of from the aspect of a company perspective, the accountant also takes care of things which are relating to the whole world, because there is this thing called the accounting for sustainability. All right, so the accountant's role is not just only counting money. All right, the role and their aspects of the responsibilities that they have is actually quite wide ranging. So in that case, right, the key thing about accountancy is not about counting money, it's about accountability. So what about digital accounting? So now, you know, in this particular aspect, we have this thing called the IR 4.0. And what is this IR 4.0? It's called the Industrial Revolution 4.0. And this is exactly what we are experiencing, whereby we have few key technologies. We call it the A, B, C, D, E's of technologies, all right, which is changing the way that we live. And what are these A, B, C, D, E's of technology? And I'm going to introduce to you now. The first one, A, is artificial intelligence. So from a human brain, now we're going to get the computers to actually help us to make decisions. So artificial intelligence is one of the key IR 4.0 technologies. And there is this thing called the blockchains. Right. So, and the blockchains will ensure that there is proper security and proper trust and transparency in the way that we do things, and everything would be seamless. And of course, with all this in mind, we have to also be ensuring the data that we collect has to be secure. So we call that cybersecurity. So you have A, B, C, and D. What is D? Every day on a daily basis, we are actually collecting a lot of data from the time that you are visiting your friend's website or your friend's Instagram. All those information that we are collecting, all right, we're putting it in the cloud. And all this data that we analyze, we make meaning out of it. And what do we get from there? We call it big data. So we have artificial intelligence, we have blockchains, we have the cybersecurity, and now we have data. And the last one, the E part of the E part of the IR 4.0, what is that? That is the fact that now we do not just only buy things from retail outlets, right? We buy things online. So with that, we have this thing called the e-commerce. So with all these technologies coming in, do you think that the accountants will still be relevant? The answer is yes, they are even more relevant. So the ICAEW qualification, what it does is it actually has incorporated all these technologies into its syllabus. So we saw that there were 15 papers, and with that, right, every single paper would have an element of these technologies in their syllabus. So you will be learning how to use these technologies to make the job as an accountant even better. So how is digital accounting going to work? So let's see. For example, for blockchains, all right. In fact, actually, blockchains, the idea comes from the ledgers, and ledgers are actually from accounts. So now, instead of one person keeping the ledgers, we have distributed ledgers. So this particular process whereby we're going to be collecting information from the suppliers, and with that seamlessly giving it to the organization, right, and then the customers, everything is linked up together. So what does the role of an accountant does here? The accountant will, of course, have to be doing accounting, but in this case, everything will be automated. So you will no longer need to do the accounting. In fact, it will be all done automatically through the blockchains. So what does the accountant do? They will be policing the processes, all right? And when they're policing the processes, they're not just only policing whether the accounts are prepared properly, they are now auditing the algorithms that is running behind the processes, all right? And of course, with all these processes done seamlessly, all right, the accountants will now be able to focus on things like smart contracts and give value-based audits, and of course, help the organization make better strategic decision-making. So the role of an accountant is actually much more enhanced, all right, when you are able to use this kind of technologies. So that's just blockchain alone. So from just simple accounting, accounting can be now automated, and we don't just only audit the numbers, we audit the processes as well. And on top of that, we will use the blockchain systems of to incorporate the smart contracts to make sure the smart contracts are done properly. And of course, we do value-based audits and not just only the accounting audits anymore. So with that, we make better decisions strategically. So what about artificial intelligence? So how does artificial intelligence comes into the picture? So with that, accountants will now focus on things like creativity, strategic thinking, stakeholder management, and things that are relating to interpersonal relationships, right? So that's the reason why this particular qualification, ICAEW, does not just only focus on the technical areas. We are also very interested to ensure that there is proper development and training in your work process. So this is how, if you take on this qualification, you will be moving in this direction as well, because we are not just only be processing numbers, we will have to think creatively, we have to think strategically, and most importantly, learn how to manage stakeholders. So taking on the role of AI trainers and machine learning, so we will help the AI become better, all right, artificial become better, and with the AI improving day by day, together with the role of an accountant, which is going to focus on creativity, strategic thinking, stakeholder management, interpersonal relationships, all right. So what's going to happen is we will combine the artificial intelligence and the human intelligence that you will be trained towards as a professional accountant. We will call that now not just only AI and human intelligence, we call that collaborative intelligence, CI. So when you're taking this course, we will train you on how to work together with AI, but not just only learning to do just the accounting. So that's how the role of accountants will become more enhanced when you are taking on the technologies into the picture. So we call that collaborative intelligence, no longer just a simple artificial intelligence, and with the accountant in mind, we become collaborative intelligence. So what about big data? How are we going to use the big data? So when we talk about big data, we are collecting a lot of data from suppliers, customers, all right, and of course the employees. All this data are held in the cloud. So what's the accounting going to do together with collaborative intelligence now? They're going to be able to analyze the data better, all right? No longer just only analyzing structured information that is just only numbers. We can actually detect how you feel, right? Whether you like us or don't like us, all right? In terms of how many likes you give us and what the comments that you give us, all this unstructured information that we have, we can process it even better, all right? And to the extent that we will even know you better than you know yourself through big data analytics, right? So the accountant will use all this information, right, to help them to improve the supply chain, to decide what the things that we can sell to you or what are the things that we can do to improve the processes. And at the end of the day, we can even use this information to make life better, all right, and make the earth a more habitable place. Because of all this information that we have, we can decide what to do better. So, and with that, we can make more money, all right, most importantly, okay, and with that, that's how the organization will take on the much advanced level of decision making because of all this big data analytics together with the collaborative intelligence that we have with artificial intelligence. So the role of an accountant is not going to be made obsolete. It's definitely going to be enhanced because of these technologies. So, and of course, with all this information that we have, all right, that we are keeping, it's also important that we take care of cybersecurity. And how do we do that? Because accountants have this approach called a very risk-based approach. So the accountants will be always doing risk assessments of not just only from a financial perspective, but from cybersecurity perspective as well. All right, they will need how to design internal control processes and to ensure that the strategic planning will take into consideration all these factors involved. So as you can see, the accountants plays a very important role. We know that they will make the board of directors more accountable for what they do, all right? But now accountants are not just only normal accountants, we call them now super accountants because of all these technologies that we have. So we can surpass the what we used to do, all right? And with all technologies, it becomes, you know, the accountants no longer just become normal accountants, they become super accountants. So technology, is it a friend or a foe? All right. So let's talk about, in terms of technology, whether there are actually opportunities and threats. You can see that as an accountant, you will, of course, understand that with the human coming into the picture, all right, technology can sometimes be a problem, all right? And of course, if you are not an accountant, when you look at all this information that you have online, for example, and things like this on your social media, you can be very easily influenced. But if you are trained as an accountant, what's going to happen is you have this thing called objectivity. You have this thing called professional skepticism. And I'm going to give you an example of how this works if you are trained as an accountant. So you'll notice that this particular research has been done by this organization, the Royal Society for Public Health in UK. This research was done in May 2017. So based on this research, right, according to them, 91% of the people who are 16 to 24 years old are using the internet for social networking, all right? And the rates of anxiety and depression have increased compared to the past 25 years. This particular 70% is quite alarming, all right? So if you are a non-accountant, what's going to happen is when you look at this information, you will start to share with everybody. And you start to tell people that, don't go on social media, go on social media. And when your parents see this, right, you'll probably be very happy, or your parents will be very happy, then they will have a good reason to throw away your phone, right? Because you say that, according to a research, it says here that because of social media, 70% of the people actually will lead towards depression, poor sleep, and anxiety, for example. Okay, so if you are a non-accountant, you will just look at this as per se, all right? But if you are an accountant, when you look at this, you will have this thing called professional skepticism. You look at things objectively and you'll ask a little bit more. Can I dig into this research a little bit more? And how would I dig into this research? I will look into, actually, this research have given us some findings that we know that 70% of the people have actually increased in terms of the anxiety and depression. However, not all social media systems are bad, right? So if you dig deeper into this research, you will notice that actually YouTube is good. Why? Because it actually helps you to improve your health. It actually helps you to access to health information, emotional support, all right? And all this are in the end, okay, giving us good positive scores. If you look at the chart here, all right, the one on the right side definitely is all the positive things. But of course, the only problem is you'll probably sleep less, right? Because you're watching YouTube all the time. Okay, so in terms of YouTube, if you go dig deep into this particular research, you realize that it's actually still good, all right? But the other things that are not good, all right, in the social media would be things like, all right, Instagram could actually cause high anxiety, depression, sleep problem, body image issue, bullying, all right? And therefore, Instagram, in terms of the social media rankings, you realize that it's actually lower. So as professional accountants, right, these are the things that you would do. You would not just only take the information as per se, because people will just take the 70% and throw it at you and say, please stop using your handphone, all right, or stop using social media. But accountants will ask you, can you give me more information? Can I dig down into your research, right? And you will find out that actually there's pros and there's also cons, all right? This particular mindset that we train our students in, we call the objectivity, is something that what is very much needed in this society at this point in time. Because we just take information as per se, but we do not know whether the information is good or bad, and do we even dig deeper to see whether is the person who passed away today Maradona or is it Madonna? All right, can we dig deeper and see, is it really Maradona or Madonna? Because Trump said that it was Maradona per se, all right? So, but he referenced to all this music. So even though it come from, such a high-profile individual, but you have to look at it objectively and question, is that true or not true? So that's a very interesting thing that you think about. If you want to train yourself to have this particular mindset of professional skepticism as well as objectivity, right, this particular program will move you in that direction. Okay, and why is it so important that we need to look into this direction? Because we have learned that there is artificial intelligence, there is blockchains, there is cybersecurity, there is big data, there is e-commerce, right? But one thing that is missing that we have not understood is humans also have affection, which is A. Humans essentially are all beings, B. All right, that's why we are here. Okay, and humans have courage. All right, and that is something that you can't just replace with artificial intelligence. right? Courage is something whereby, it is a human element. And are we able to stamp out bad behavior, all right, to be courageous and tell people that you are wrong, all right? So, and human beings sometimes will feel despair, all right, sad, okay? So how do we manage all this, okay? And human beings definitely will have to define what is right and what is wrong. And ultimately, if you look at this qualification, one of the key things of what makes this particular qualification different from other qualifications is because the ICAEW program actually takes you through the ethical principles, right? Because the ethical principles are the foundation of why this program is different. It's because it takes us through the understanding of what is objective, good and bad, what is wrong and what is right, as well as know what is the ability to stamp out bad behavior, have the integrity, right? And that is what professional behavior is. And of course, you need to know when to shut up and when you need to talk, right? The confidentiality part, all these elements are very important, okay? To become a successful human being. You can't just only become a successful coder or data analyst, right? But these fundamental things that human beings need to, build, right, is really lacking in society at this point in time. So you have to take a qualification that is going to help you to build this, right, as the foundation of the whole course. So professional competence, objectivity, integrity, confidentiality, and professional behavior would be human elements that is very much lacking in this real society at this point in time, because we are so influenced and so easily influenced by the technology, right? So we need to build integrity, we need to build objectivity. All this requires training. All right. So the human side of things is important because we need to not just only become professional accountants who are super accountants. All right. We need to be ready for the society 5.0, right? Because with information that is coming in and with all the technology of IR 4.0, we need to upgrade ourselves to the level that is focusing on things like creativity, making good use of the technology that we have and make our lives better. All right. So we need to move to this direction of Society 5.0, whereby we have to enhance our role as humans. All right. Not just only think about the technology part. So, and this course actually does take you in that direction. All right. So I think that's it from my side. Very quick half-an-hour session. Okay. So definitely, if you want to find out a little bit more about what is IR 4.0 and Society 5.0, you'll definitely be able to find it out. All right. If you Google it. Okay, but what I've done here today is essentially link the thing up to you for you, all right? Because you are at this point in time where you have to make a decision. What do I do for the next 30 years? What am I going to do the next 30 years when all these new technologies are going to replace all the traditional jobs? So you need to find a qualification that constantly updates itself and constantly is at the forefront of the human element. All right, because that is something that nothing can be replaced. All right, so if you want to become a data analyst, for example, a coder, eventually the artificial intelligence and the machine learning could do it themselves as well. You don't really need the coders anymore. Right, but the accountants, with all the human elements of human interaction and the ability to decide and discern what is right and wrong, right, that the professional accountancy actually takes you through, is something that is not easy to be trained. All right, so that's not easy. That will last you forever. Okay, that particular mindset will last you forever. Okay, so and with that, I think that's it from me. I will pass it back to Ming Xiang, right, and Shin, one of our ex-students, all right, and you will learn a lot from them as well. So I'll see you. Okay, bye.
Hi, I'm Shin, and I am an ICAEW Chartered Accountant. As a risk management analyst in a natural and built asset design and consultancy firm, my job involves working with different stakeholders to perform the risk management testing in accordance to the risk control framework. This is to ensure corporate compliance with regulatory requirements. I also support data collection and data analytics in the Asia region. I was 19 years old when I began the ICAEW CFAP in 2014. I had just completed my A-levels in Singapore and was interested to pursue something business-related. My parents encouraged me to take up the ICAEW ACA qualification It was then I discovered the ICAEW CFET, a pathway that allowed me to pursue a professional qualification without first having to complete a degree. I personally felt that pursuing a professional qualification would be more beneficial. The ICAEW ACA had a variety of modules from accounting to business strategy, and that really interested me. The biggest advantage of the ICAEW Chartered Accountant qualification is the prestigious recognition it offers. The comprehensive study and training program shaped me to be an adaptable, trusted business advisor who is able to pursue any career I want in any industry, no matter where I am in the world. As an ACA, my skills have been applicable in businesses such as professional services, graphic recording, and consultancy. My colleagues overseas are often surprised that I am an ICAEW Chartered Accountant at such a young age. I tell them that I got a jump start on my career because I took the ICAEW CFET.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. And thank you very much, Jack. It was a very enlightening presentation on IR 4.0 and Society 5.0. And thank you for introducing the ICAEW to the audience tonight. So my name is Ming Xiang. I work with the ICAEW office in Kuala Lumpur. Right? And today, you have heard Jack speak a lot about the qualification. You have heard Jack mention ICAEW so many times. All right. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a little bit about who and what ICAEW is. Can I have my slides, please? Next slide. Can I have the next slide, please? So the ICAEW stands for the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. And we are one of the oldest professional body in the world, established by Royal Charter in the 1880s. Right? We started off as a professional body in London, right? Headquarters in London. But today we have embarked and expanded our offices not only in UK, but to also cities like Beijing, Brussels, Dubai, to Southeast Asia in cities like Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Shanghai, and even in Singapore as well. All right. Next slide, please. The ICAEW comprises of more than 156,000 chartered accountants in 150 countries, working in a multitude of industries. All right. And they are also working with 96 of the world's 100 global brands, leading brands, right, around the world, in organizations like Coca-Cola, Nike, even Manchester United, all right? And in Malaysia, more than 200 authorized training employers take in and train and work with our ICAEW Chartered Accountants. We are very proud to say that one of our training providers in Malaysia, Sunway Test, which is the platform that you're on today, all right, almost 100% of ICAEW students who take the ICAEW qualification with Sunway Test are employed immediately after they complete the professional level. Next slide, please. Our chartered accountants in Malaysia, click one more time, please. Our chartered accountants in Malaysia, and in fact around the world, work in a variety of industries, right? Like what Jack has mentioned, the ICAEW qualification is very unique. It doesn't just train you in the technical aspects like accounting, taxation, but it covers a lot on business strategy, technology, ethics, and that's why our ICAEW chartered accountants are able to work in a multitude of industries, ranging from mining, leisure and tourism, farming, entertainment, technology, and of course to even areas like sports, retail, charity, and fashion, right? And of course at the professional firms as well. Next slide, please. So what are the other factors that actually make ICAEW chartered accountants very unique, right? Next slide, please. So one of the aspects, one of the advantage of our ICAEW qualification is that it is one of the most portable, and recognizable qualification in the world. Next slide, please. The ICAEW, the ICAEW qualification and membership, we are part of the Chartered Accountants worldwide, and from via this network, our qualification have our qualification has reciprocal recognition in countries like Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and even in areas like, for example, in Indonesia, all right, where our chartered accountants will be able to work and apply to be part of these organizations and work in these countries seamlessly. Next slide, please. The ICAEW reach is also, the ICAEW is also part of the Global Accounting Alliance, expanding its reach to countries like America, South Africa, Japan, Taiwan, right, where our qualifications are recognized by reciprocal bodies in the respective countries as well. In other words, being a ICAEW chartered accountant, you have the opportunity and the ability to work in majority of countries or anywhere around the world if you choose to. Next slide, please. Next slide again. And can I have another click again? All right. So just like what Jack has mentioned as part of his presentation earlier, the ICAEW qualification is one of the most versatile and at the same time one of the most unique qualification in the world, in the sense that to take up the ICAEW qualification, all right, there are 4 parties involved, which is number 1, yourself as a student, all right, the tuition provider like Sunway Test, for example, providing you classes and tuition, training you with the ICAEW courses and subjects. And then, of course, you have us, ICAEW, providing you with the curriculum and guidance, all right, for the qualification. And a very unique aspect is that we work very, very, very closely with employers, not just in Malaysia, but across the globe as well, all right? And the unique bit is that, like what Jack has mentioned just now, and what makes the ICAEW curriculum very, very advantageous is that we do consultations with employers every year. And we listen to the employers, we hear what they say, all right, and we embed what they tell us that accountants need today, and we embed it into our curriculum. We are one of the rare professional bodies in the world where we update our curriculum every year to ensure that our chartered accountants always meet what the employers need in the job market today. And that makes our ICAEW chartered accountants not only constantly updated with the latest technology and knowledge, but always versatile and be able to work in any industries and adapt. Next slide, please. So the pathway to be an ICAEW chartered accountant is very simple, all right? So for example, for students like you who have completed the A levels, all right, okay, or who are completing the A levels, the traditional journey will of course be for you to go on and take a degree, all right? I do not deny that that's a very common route. It's very safe, all right? And you graduate with a degree certification as well, a bachelor's, who will then take you safely into the job market as well. But I would like you to consider another route, all right? Something which our feature speaker today, Shin, took, all right, as part of her career, all right? So after A levels, do you know that you can also proceed directly into the ICAEW qualification as well, all right? You can actually move on in and take the ICAEW certificate, which will take you approximately 1 to 1.5 years, all right? And upon completing the ICAEW certificate, you can then take on, continue on into the professional level, which will take you another 1 year. And here comes the advantageous bit, all right? Upon completing the professional level, you can then go out and work. Because another unique part of the ICAEW qualification is that to complete the advanced level in Malaysia, you are required to be employed. And all our authorized training employers are aware of this pathway, and they will take you in on a full-time employment while giving you the opportunity to pursue the advanced level. In other words, all right, by taking the professional route after A level, by embarking into the certificate and professional level, you will be able to hit the job market and earn a full-time salary in just 2.5 years. All right, in just 2.5 years. Next slide, please. So as Jack has shared earlier in his presentation as well, the ICAEW curriculum consists of 15 modules, all right, with the certificate level being the first entry level, which you will take after your pre-university qualification. Then you move on to the professional level before you embark into the final stage, which is the advanced level, which consists of 2 modules and a case study. All right, next slide, please. As Jack has shared in his presentation earlier as well, you will notice that tech is a very common inclusion in many of our ICAEW modules. So you can, as you can see, like what Jack has mentioned earlier as well, all right, we cover artificial intelligence, we cover blockchain, cybersecurity, we cover ethics, data analytics, Internet of Things, all in our modules in ICAEW. All right, and all these modules are updated and upgraded every year to ensure that you're constantly ready for what the job market needs you to have, what skills you need to have. For example, all right, ICAEW offers free Xero, 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 which is a very unique cloud-based accounting software. All right, ICAEW offers you free Xero classes to qualify you to be a Xero user, all right, and to prepare you to work with cloud and data analytics based on cloud-based software systems, all right? And all this is part embedded into your curriculum as well. Next slide, please. Next slide. Can I have the next slide, please? Can I have the next slide, please? All right, I think we are facing some technical difficulties. My apologies. All right, okay. But the next bit that I wanted to share is actually on the training agreement and to share with you a little bit about the employers that we work with. But because we are facing some technical difficulties, maybe what we will do is that we'll bring Yishin on first. Can we have Yishin on now? Next.
Hi everyone.
Hello, Shin. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All right. Okay. So maybe before we start, Yishin, I mean, the video earlier introduced you as an ICAEW chartered accountant. All right. So and I think many people will be very surprised that you are a chartered accountant at a very young age. So maybe what you can do is that will you be able to share a little bit about what you are doing right now and where are you based and what role are you doing right now?
All right, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Shin. I have graduated as an ICAEW chartered accountant in 2019. So this makes it my second year as a chartered accountant, and I'm only 25. So that's something that's very surprising for a lot of my colleagues. I have actually been an external auditor with the earlier stages of my training agreement. Then I moved on to commercial. In the video, you saw that I was a risk management analyst with actually a quite cool company. And I recently just took the plunge to move to PwC Malaysia in risk assurance services. And I think it's my 7th month there so far. And I'm enjoying what I do. So basically, in risk assurance services, we do a range of things, including building up enterprise risk management frameworks to actually providing internal audit services to our clientele. And I do a lot of ad hoc things such as agreed upon procedures, which I think is an experience that I won't be able to have elsewhere. Yeah.
Right. That sounds good, Shin. All right. Because many people assume that if you take a professional qualification or you study accounting, you must be an accountant. All right. You must either go into audit or you must only go into tax. So I think it's quite refreshing to hear that you are actually into risk. All right, into risk assurance. So,
yeah.
So another bit that we would like to hear from you, Shin. All right, following up from Jack's presentation earlier as well. Are there a lot of tech involved in what you do today in risk assurance?
Oh, it's so the thing about risk assurance services in PwC, it's a little different in a way that, for example, in another firm, it might be considered as advisory, but we actually park it under assurance in PwC. But either way, technology is very much involved in our day-to-day routines. So I have seen, so from an external auditor point of view, I have seen our amazing technology that actually shortens the entire period of how to say, like analyzing financial statements using the power of technology that actually increases the efficiency and the accuracy of year-to-year comparisons. In risk assurance services, we also look into IT general controls. So that's so in a way, I would say that technology is not going to go far, especially with MCO hitting us. Something that our firm is very, very glad is that we have actually been heavily investing in cloud even way before MCO. And that investment has managed to prove its worth now that MCO has hit and everyone is going online. So there, I wouldn't say that technology is everything that can replace human factors. For example, like even with facing clients, we will still have to have our interpersonal skills. We need to have tech, but technology does help enhance all of this. As accountants or risk management professionals, Excel is something that we're all very, very, very familiar with. It's almost our livelihood. Yeah, so the Microsoft Office suite is very important. So for example, like in PwC, we use Google Suites quite a lot. So it's very good for online collaborating and working cohesively in different locations, which is very important in a time like now.
Yeah, I think Shin, that's very enlightening because you're not the first person that I've heard speaking about this as well. Because I've heard about that during the MCO, all right, work still goes on, and a lot of firms like PwC who have invested heavily in cloud are reaping the benefits now because even though we are locked at home, we are locked down at home, all right, I understand that work still goes on. You're able to access your files, your clients, make use of the suite of technology, and you are right. All right, even with all this advent of new technology, data analytics, I've heard chartered accountants speak about other chartered accountants speak about software systems that are able to crunch huge numbers of data and provide suggested decisions as well. But
Yeah.
We realize that all this will not take away the human decision making. Am I right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
To give an example, so for example, we use Power BI to crunch through huge data sets, and then we will present
Mm.
it in a fancy, maybe a PowerPoint slide to the stakeholders. But until the end, you still need a person there to actually make sense of these numbers. So it is something, it's a skill that I actually hone a lot in business strategy and technology. It's one of the professional papers in ICAEW and also in strategic case study, which is an advanced paper. So these two papers actually teaches you a lot about making sense and presenting these numbers in a clearer and concise manner to your stakeholders so that you are able to um, package everything in a really nice manner. And it really helped me even now when I'm working.
So I think that's very enlightening again, Shane, because that helps to dispel a lot of the myth that come 2022 onwards or in the future, machines will take over the jobs of the accountants. But I think no matter how much machines advance, or no matter how much the IR sorry, excuse me, how much digitalization advances, it will never take away the human decision making and the human thought process as well.
Yes, definitely. And I think
Yeah.
one thing that the ICW has really benefited me. Sorry, I'm not like hard selling, but I did really benefit a
Oh
lot from
no,
this
please.
course. Is that I think that all these skills that we learn along the way, let's say even during our course of studies, it just increases our adaptability. And this is very important, such as we live in an ever-changing world. We never knew that we will all be locked down in our homes, let's say this time last year. And this adaptability actually will work regardless of which industry or what profession that you would want to take in the future. So I think that's the key, like, most important factor that I ever loved taking up ICAEW. So I know that, let's say if today I decide that I want to be a marketer, which I almost did, by the way, before joining PwC, I know that I can bring this skill set, and I know that I'll still excel in whatever environment that I want to be in, because I know that this knowledge and skills have enhanced me as a person and as an individual.
I think that's very apt, Shin, because I'm now. I think that's very apt because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with everyone what a training agreement is. So hang on, Shin. I'll come back to you again. All right. Can we have our slides back? All right. So So what Shin has just mentioned just now is very, very apt and very, very true. You see, a very, very unique part of about the ICAEW curriculum is that, as I've mentioned earlier, to complete the ICAEW qualification, when you embark into the advanced level in Malaysia, you're required to have a full-time employment. Next slide, please. And that full-time employment is what we call a training agreement. All right. So every ICAEW chartered accountant must go through this phase. And in fact, this is actually one of the unique advantages of our curriculum, because not many professional qualifications in the world requires you to have work experience before you complete all the papers. All right. And during this training agreement, which spans a minimum of 3 years and 450 days, all right, the ICAEW students will go through what we call professional development, and at the same time they will also learn about ethics, and at the same time they're working at a firm or at an organization or in what we call an authorized training employer, and at the same time taking classes to complete the final 3 modules of ICAEW, right? And while they are working, can I have my next slide, please? And while they are working, all right, at the employment with a training agreement, our ICAEW students, our aspiring chartered accountants, will go through what we call the 7 ladders of professional development, who will train and instill the following skills in the future chartered accountants. Skills like teamwork, very, very, very essential, especially when you're working in firms. Problem-solving skills, technical experience, communication, decision-making, ethics, and a very, very important skill which is very unique with ICAEW chartered accountants, which is adding value. Anyone could master technical skills. Anyone can study accounting, taxation, tax, but how would you add value on top of your skills to your clients and organization? And these are the skills that make ICAEW chartered accountants very adaptable, like what Shin has just mentioned, very adaptable, very versatile, able to work under any condition in any parts of the world. Next slide, please. So these are some of the authorized training employers in Malaysia. As mentioned earlier, we work with more than 200 organizations in Malaysia who are our authorized training employers, who will take you in, train you, and give you opportunity to work with them. All right. Organizations like, for example, professional firms like BDO, EY, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Grant Thornton, as well as multinational oil and gas, multinational firms in areas like oil and gas, for example, Petronas, Shell, Schlumberger, our banks like Maybank, AmBank, governmental bodies like, for example, our national bank, Bank Negara, UEM, Tenaga Nasional, and so on. All right. These are our employers who work with us very closely. They tell us what they need, what they want to see in our accountants, and we make sure that whatever they feedback to us, we update in our curriculum as well. Next slide, please. So to highlight some of our prominent members, all right, for example, Rajatan Sri Datuk Sri Ashad, the chairman of Equinas, is an ICAEW chartered accountant. the executive chairman of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Dato Faiz Azmi, PwC, where Shin is based. All right, so this is actually Shin's boss. All right, so Dato Faiz Azmi is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. And a very interesting fact is that Dato Faiz Azmi also sits on the ICAEW Council in the UK, representing Malaysia. All right, and the next gentleman, Tengku Muhammad Taufik Tengku Aziz, the recently appointed President and Chief Executive Officer of Petronas, is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. Next slide, please. And we have the corporate leaders in firms, in the professional firms like BDO, EY, KPMG. They are all ICAEW chartered accountants as well. Dato Gan Ati in BDO, not only is he the managing partner of BDO and an ICAEW chartered accountant, he also represents Malaysia and Southeast Asia, all right, in the ICAEW Council in the UK. Next slide, please. We also have prominent women, like, for example, Wan Shamila Wan Muhammad Said Zaidi, who is the Chief Digital Officer of Petronas. She is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. Ms. Chow Mei Mei at Sapura Energy. And one of our strong advocate of ICAEW, Encik Mustabir Muhammad at Sime Darby, is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. Next slide, please. A testimony to Sunway, all right, who has produced so many students over the last 15 years, all right. Sunway is not only just good in teaching ICAEW, they are also very good in training our chartered accountants to be prize winners. These are some of the students who are currently working in firms like PwC, BDO, and KPMG, who are what we call prize winners, meaning that they score and do significantly well in our ICAEW modules. All right, and they are all students who have studied in Sunway tests. Next slide, please. All right. So if you're listening to us on a laptop or a computer, all right, please use your mobile phone to take a screenshot of what you see in front of you right now. Or if you're listening to us on a mobile phone, take a screenshot as well, all right? Because these are some of the sample articles that we would like to share with you about how resilient chartered accountants are during the pandemic, all right? The lady in the middle is an article, the lady featured in the middle is in an article where she already hold a professional qualification, but she realized that for her to go the distance and go further, she decided to take on the ICAEW qualification, which allows her to be much more portable. And at the right, you will at the end, you will see a young gentleman who became the head of the finance function of one of the biggest pharmaceutical firm in Southeast Asia at a very young age of 25. All right. Next slide, please. All right. So I'm coming to the end of the presentation. If any of you have any queries, you can either contact us directly at ICAEW, or you can contact Sunway Tests, who will be able to share with you more information about the courses they offer and how to embark into the ICAEW curriculum. All right. So that's the end of my presentation. All right. Let's bring Yishin back.
Hi everyone. I think something to add on to what Ming Xiang previously mentioned is that you can also do your training agreement in Singapore, or let's say if you're more ambitious in UK. But I personally actually recommend doing it in Malaysia, mainly because Sunway Tests as an education provider is really experienced in this. I've had amazing lecturers like Mr. Jack that you have seen previously. I even had, I went to Miss Rutina's house. She teaches financial accounting and reporting at 11 p.m. on a Friday before my exams.
Wow.
That's how dedicated the teachers can be. So I really recommend maybe joining Sunway Tests, because especially if you want to take this ICAEW cert, because I do know a lot of friends who take it individually and they struggle elsewhere. Our lecturers have teach so many students and they know their way around it. So a prime example, if you see the previous talks, there's Mr. Ong Lu Yuan. He is really amazing in teaching audit assurance. I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't refer to the textbooks. So he writes his notes by memory and by hand. So these are like just some examples of the wealth of knowledge of our lecturers in Sunway Tests.
A fact to point as well is that Ong Lu Yen is also an ICAEW chartered accountant. I think that's a very good testimonial from you, Shin. All right, and to add to that, Sunway has been offering the ICAEW curriculum, has been teaching the CFAP and the ACA, in fact, more than 15 years. All right, and because of that, they have got a lot of experience. The trainers are very good. All right, okay. And as mentioned as well in the slides earlier, they have produced so many prize winners and so many successful chartered accountants like Shin. All right, okay. And before we come to the end of of our presentation tonight, as well as of our session tonight as well, I think Shin, do you have any advice that you would like to give to the students and parents today who are listening to us? All right, especially I think they will have a very burning curiosity. Why did you pick up the ICAEW after your A levels rather than continuing on to a degree?
Okay, I'll be really honest here. So I did my A levels in Singapore. So for those who understand A levels in Singapore, there wasn't any accounting or law modules. And I personally am not a science student and not an art student. So I was given a choice to either do law or accounting, which in Malaysia it either meant BAC or Sunway test for ICAEW. So personally, I chose accounting because I felt that I wanted to do business in the future. And having a business degree is great, but what's the difference as to all these people having MBAs on the streets, right? So I wanted to at least have some form of specialization. So I chose accounting, and ICAEW ACA has the highest regard in terms of professional qualifications in accounting. So that's why I eventually chose ACA, not mentioning that I did the math in my head. So if I start working earlier, so I can pay off my school fees, and that kind of balance it out.
Wow.
So that's what I thought when I took up ICAEW. And bearing in mind, I didn't have any accounting knowledge beforehand. So I kind of really struggled a bit in CFAP. But when I understood the debits and credits, everything started to make sense. It was amazing. And the different modules in ICAEW really make sure that you're all rounded. You're not just going to pin yourself down because you don't know your debits and credits. There's like tax. I excel a lot in business strategy because it looks into the variances of marketing, if you get what I'm trying to say. But different aspects of it, such as business tax planning, is something that I swear I would never touch. But at least I tried it, and I know that I don't like it. So my advice to all these younger students, and maybe that you need to at least try it to know that you don't like it. But at least I know exactly what do I like and what do I want to pursue, which is why I eventually chose to go back into Big Four. Not a lot of people do this, by the way, because there's a huge difference between commercial and professional firms. But I make the
True.
sense to actually go back to PwC to further enhance my professional skills because I saw that I needed that at this point in time. So all the best, good luck, and hopefully I will be seeing you guys in ICAEW.
Thank you, Shin. That's a very sterling testimony, and it was really great to hear you say that as well. And a fun fact to share before we go into the Q&A, a fun fact to share is that many ICAEW chartered accountants, when they start and embark on their ICAEW journey, they didn't come from a background where they had accounting, right? In fact, if I look at a lot of Sunway students that I've encountered, not only just in Sunway, but in any other partners in learning as well, we encountered many students who took science and then embarked into the CFAP, all right, into the ICAEW journey. And another fun fact that I'd like to share with the audience tonight as well is that if we look at our global statistics of ICAEW chartered accountants, 60% of our global members did not come from an accounting background, but instead from backgrounds like law, chemical engineering, medicine, and a variety more. In fact, one of the personalities that we featured in our slides earlier, Dr. Faiz Azmi, he came from a law background. All right, so that enforces what Yishin has just mentioned earlier. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. I understand from the organizers that there are some Q&As for myself and Shin. All right, so Shin, can we have the questions? Well, maybe what I'll do is that let me just speak a little bit about this before I pass it on to Shin. All right. So like what Jack has shared earlier in his presentation, and I've also shown in my slides as well. All right, the ICAEW embeds technology into almost every module that we have in our curriculum. All right, and we take tech very, 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 very seriously, and we are, in fact, tech is very important with the ICAEW curriculum because of our consultation with the employers. And if the employers tell us that, look, we want to see more tech, we want to see more data analytics, we will make sure that it is embedded into the curriculum in the next update. All right. And even with Shin as well, I think you can share a little bit about the time when you were studying. I think quite a bit of tech was already embedded into your curriculum.
Yeah, so back in my times, to give you an example, when I did ICAEW, it was paper-based, but now ICAEW is fully tested online. And do you know why was it fully tested online? It's because the employers actually feedback that as working professionals, you're always using Excel. So you should be proficient using a laptop and technology. So why shouldn't your exams be done in technology? So that's how serious they took it. And then they decided to do online testing instead. So this is how what Ming Xiang said, that they take in the feedback and they constantly evolve what is going on with the service. I have seen BST so business strategy used to, when at my times it was called business strategy BS. Now it's business strategy and technology, where we talk about big data, we talk about the veracity, 4 Vs of big data, and then the industrial revolution, and the whole corporate social responsibility. And it's way beyond just paper-based, way beyond just the subject itself, in fact. Now that technology is playing a huge role, right? A lot of things have been incorporated into the syllabus. Not very sure it's a good or bad thing, because the volume of what you're studying has increased.
Yes. Right. So that answers the question. All right. As you can see, right, tech, the ICT curriculum with the tech involved and embedded helps to make you ready for what the industry really asks for when you go out and work. Can we have the next question, please? Wow, I think this one will be for Shin.
Give you some advice on how to choose an ICAEW training employer, or what you should look out for. I think first and foremost, you need to understand what kind of path you would like to see yourself in the near 5 years. If you would like to actually just grind, I would advise you professional services firms, because that increases the adaptability of where you want to go. Audit is a safe route because you learn about a lot of things and you grow as a person, you develop your soft skills. But if you understand your short-term career trajectory, that you want to instead join a corporate, so there are a lot of opportunities out there. For example, Maybank has the GMAT program. It's a global Maybank apprentice program. So this program is actually, you will be involved in their different functions of their organizations in your day-to-day. And that will give you a different angle to look at things, instead of so for example, when we go to audit, it's just serving different clientele. So Maybank, you're serving Maybank as a corporate. I do have friends who actually chose to venture to Singapore instead, because they would like to experience independence. So that can be an option as well. So if you want me to summarize all of this, it's really, what would you like to see yourself doing for next 2 to 3 years? And even if you don't like it, you have to sit it through for 2 to 3 years. So just make sure that you are looking out for what you want, and a firm that you think embodies the values that you have. Yeah.
Hit the nail right on the head, Yishin. You're absolutely right. Right. Can we have the next question?
You need to know.
Yeah, maybe what I'll do is I'll start off first, and then Shin can share. All right. The quick answer is, it's always good to have knowledge. It's always good to have some knowledge as well before you embark to work. I mean, that's what the curriculum prepares you for, giving you the tools ready for you to be employed, right? And in fact, ICW students have access to I've mentioned earlier the software called Xero, Xero. All right, Xero is an up and coming. In fact, it's one of the most widely used cloud-based accounting software. All right, and Xero gives you insight into what systems employers will use when you go out and work in the future. All right, and this is one of the resources that ICAEW provides to all our students, regardless of which level you're in. Right. So, but perhaps Shin can share a little bit about this, having just completed the curriculum and graduated and hitting the job market as well.
So I've used Xero before. It's an amazing cloud-based tool for smaller and medium enterprises. But to answer your question about already knowing how to use accounting software, from an employer perspective, the answer is no, because that's why we kind of like get you in, and then your seniors are supposed to work with you and get you familiarized with everything.
Grill
Even
you.
as an experienced hire myself, I might not be really experienced with all of PwC software, but I've had amazing colleagues and superiors who actually walk me through it, because the expectation is that we wouldn't be really familiar with something that we haven't gotten in touch. But ICAEW has a work-based learning program, which is an internship that you can actually join these ATEs as well. And with these internships, you will be able to have a taste of where you want to work essentially. And if, for example, if you're interning in PwC and then you join back as a permanent hire, I'm sure that gives you experience as to what you'll be doing in your future work.
What about Excel, Shin?
Oh, I would think that Excel is a lot of personal development or learning from your peers, or also learning on the job. So I have had friends when I did my internship who really struggled with Excel, even to the basics of Control C, which is copy, and Control V pasting. And even like through time, when you continue working in such large data sets, you will learn things that is beyond what you can learn in your day-to-day. So for example, I would think that I'm not bad in building pivot tables and doing VLOOKUPs now, because my job requires me to have some sort of competency in that. So let's say if it doesn't work, I will try and ask for guidance until I make it work. So it's a skill that you hone over time, as long as you put in your heart and the effort to it.
So you have heard it, everyone. All right. It's not really the accounting software that's important, but if you have Excel skills, that helps. All right. Thank you very much.
Attitude.
Right attitude is very important anywhere you go.
True.
All right. Okay. I think we are quite late, running late on time already. Are there any more questions? If there's no questions, then I think we should end the session soon, because I think we are slightly running a little bit late. All right. Just before we end, a slight announcement just on behalf of Sunway Test. All right. So the ICAEW worked with Sunway Test in providing a very unique scholarship called the Global Accountants Scholarship, all right, or GAS for short, all right, which provides a full scholarship for students who have done very well in A levels. For example, I think if I'm not wrong, it's 3 A's and above. All right. So the Sunway Test ICAEW Global Accountant Scholarship is open to any student who takes up and join the ICAEW program, either from the CFAP level or from the ACA level. All right. And the full scholarship will carry on all the way until you complete the professional level and move on into the training agreement. All right. So this is a very unique scholarship, all right, where we work with Sunway for this. All right. And this scholarship will cover fees waiver, including tuition fees, examination fees, and student registration fees as well. All right. So if you're interested to know more, please speak to any personnel from Sunway Tests, all right, either after or in the future. The contact details of the Sunway Test personnel are listed below, appearing on your screen right now. Okay, all right. So that's it from us tonight. Thank you, Shin, for joining us on the session tonight. What you have just shared is very enlightening. All right. I hope parents and students who are listening in tonight have benefited from Shin's sharing of her personal experience. And I hope you have actually learned more about the ICAEW qualification and about being an ICAEW chartered accountant. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
ICAEW is one of the most advanced learning and professional development program in the world.
The ICAEW qualification helps us enhance the skill of our employees to be qualified accountants.
Graduates that have successfully completed a qualification, they're far more committed in what they want to do to hone their craft.
It is important to possess ability to understand all-round business needs and requirements, and that's the reason why the industry is looking at ICAEW as a preferred qualification.